Broadcasting across all of the Norwich City social medias, it's the TNC Podcast and it's live. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you're well on this warm Sunday evening. What a beautiful August day it's been. I've celebrated it by being inside, working from home. What an absolute delight. We have got a whole host of Norwich City related topics to talk about tonight, including fresh off the mill transfer rumours. Unlike last night, I've got someone to talk back to me, and he goes by the name of Chris Reeve. How are you, mate?
Dreaming, my friend. Out in the sunshine today, and starting to get a bit of wind in my sails now with regards to all things Norwich City. I've been not sure, but now I'm hearing a lot of really positive things from various different sources, and starting to feel a little bit optimistic, dare I say, ahead of next season.
Yeah, it's really exciting this time of year. I know you're not one for transfer rumours and you try and stay away from it. And to be honest, I'm usually like that as well. But there's been something about this kind of month that's just completely sucked me in. Just every transfer rumour I see, I'm just fully invested in it. I mean, we're going to be talking about today's rumours later on, but you're right, Chris. I think the business already done and the rumours that are going about, there is reason to be optimistic, isn't there?
Yeah, with regards to the transfer rumours thing, I think what's always, and I say this every single time, so here is my seasonally comment of please don't fall for clickbait bollocks, because most of it is just made up rubbish with absolutely no tenuous links, very tenuous links. And I think one of the things I know, being so blessed to be in a situation that I'm in, is knowing people that are very close to the players. They don't tell you everything because they're close to the players, so they've got respect for them, and therefore they don't tell people stuff. So normally, of course, once things are very, very close, and there's people in and around the football clubs where they've literally seen people walking in, walking out, of course. But one of the things that I wanted to bring up, Jack, is a guy that I always rely on for all of my transfer news is Nick Masheter. He's always got his finger on the buzzer, contacts really deep into the industry, and quite often people copy and paste from him. So I would encourage any single Norwich fan that's watching this now, go and follow Nick Masheter on Twitter. He is the guy that I listen to with regards to transfer. And do you know what? It really frustrates me, Jack. I'm still angry. And we're not even playing football, is the Facebook fan groups full of people sharing the Sun articles and the Mirror articles. Stop sharing red top tabloid bollocks, because it's just a nonsense.
There we go. You're worked up, and Norwich City haven't even played a game yet. God, knows what it will be like when we lose 1-0 to Wickham on the opening day of the season. Just a quick bit of plugging before we get into the show. We do have a Ko-fi page. It's a one-off donation service in which you can help with the running costs of Talk Norwich City. The link is in the Facebook post and also this YouTube video. If you donate in there, do it quick. We'll read the comments out from the Ko-fi page. So you're guaranteed to get your comments read out. Without further ado, let's get into today's news then. And we've just talked about... Go on.
Without further Ampadu.
That's a lovely link, my friend, because let's talk about that man right now. Nick Masheter, exclusive. This was just an hour ago. Norwich want midfielder Ethan Ampadu from Chelsea on loan. Story and link to follow. Head over to Nick Masheter if you want to see that story, but we will tell you it in brief. Well, it does what it says on the tin. Norwich City want to sign Chelsea midfielder Ethan Ampadu on loan. I'll give you a quick run through of who he is. He's 19 years old. Come through the youth ranks at Exeter City, is now at Chelsea. He spent the last season on loan at RB Leipzig. And this is probably the most wonderful stat out of all of them. He's already made 13 appearances for his international country, which is Wales, at the age of 19. That's incredibly impressive. He's a centre-back or central defensive midfielder. Of course, we do need players in that area. Chris, I mean, we haven't had too much time to think about this and whether it would be a good move for Norwich or not, but what's your initial thoughts?
I really like the smell of it, Jack. I really do. It stinks of title winning. It really does. What I'm particularly impressed with, having obviously gone online like everyone else and done my research, is the fact that he's from humble beginnings, I like the fact that he's, although of course he's come through the ranks, so to speak, at Chelsea, he's not got that plastic Premier League feel about him. He's come from a very hearty background. His father, I believe, is called Kwame Ampadu. I'm going to probably pronounce that wrong, but I like the fact he's come from a footballing family as well. Of course, one of the names that stands out to me as a player that we've had from a footballing family, Angus Gunn, he didn't do too shabby at Norwich, did he? Ampadu's father played for Arsenal, played for Exeter, a couple of other clubs as well. I think one of them was Swansea. Went on to coach at the Arsenal under-18s, and now is the assistant manager at Monaco. So this is a guy that knows his football, and therefore I really like the fact that Ethan Ampadu is from that background, that's been brought up in a footballing family. I really like that, because we need players at our football club that have got that heart. They love the game. They're not interested in releasing singles and drawing in their book on away days. They're interested in playing football, and they're interested in proving a point. And who knows? Maybe I'm getting a bit ahead of myself here. But if I was Ethan Ampadu, I would be wanting to put everything into getting Norwich City up back into the Premier League, because we would probably end up signing him. I'm really excited about this rumour, Jack. I really am.
Yeah, I think, as you said earlier on in the show, this isn't a rumour kind of from a son or whatever. It's from Nick Masheter. There is obvious substance in this. But on the flip side, the rumour is, and I'll get it up on screen again, that we want midfielder Ethan Ampadu. It's not Chelsea want to loan him to us. It's very early stages here, and of course we'd want a player the calibre of Ethan Ampadu, but it's not given yet. But I think initial thoughts is one of great positivity. I'd really like to see Ethan Ampadu here. The other big news of today, and this was broken by Melissa Reddy of The Independent and also James Pearce of The Athletic, is this: Liverpool in advanced talks to sign Olympiacos left-back Kostas Tsimikas for 13 million euros after failing to agree a fee with Norwich City for Jamal Lewis. He then went on to say, feel for Jamal Lewis, was desperate to move to Liverpool and would have been a great addition, but just too big a gap between Norwich's valuation and what Liverpool were willing to pay for him. Chris, I haven't spoken to you much this week regarding Jamal Lewis. The long and the short is Norwich wanted 20 million. Liverpool were willing to pay about 10 million. They couldn't meet on a valuation, and Liverpool have gone to Olympiacos to sign their left back instead. What are your thoughts?
Look, I absolutely love Jam. I love him. As you know, he's my favourite Norwich player, personality-wise. He's such a nice guy, and I really want the best for him. And actually, that could well be. Of course, I want to see Jamal go on to bigger and better things. Just like James Maddison. You don't want that. You don't necessarily want a player at the club that's been so desperate to leave. Now, I'm not saying that Jamal is that player, because we don't know that for a fact. Of course, like everyone else, I've heard it here and there. There's always been interest in Jamal since we were promoted back into the Premier League, Jack. So for me, yeah, I'm somewhat disappointed in a way for Jamal, because of course it would be an incredible move for him. But to be honest with you, Jack, the whole Jamal Lewis and Liverpool thing has kind of angered me a little bit. I'm a bit disappointed in the Liverpool fans. I think since they've won the league, they seem to have completely lost their heads. I think they're drinking far too many beer Morettis or something, because to be as arrogant as to say 10 million is enough for one of our prized assets in Jamal Lewis, homegrown-ish. He's so key for us, and we're giving him a new contract as well. It doesn't matter that we've been relegated. I think it just stunk of arrogance, and I've been really frustrated reading all the Liverpool fans on Twitter, thinking that it's their God-given right to just sign anyone that they like and pay whatever as well.
I guess on the flip side of that is Liverpool fans' argument, and to be fair, a lot of them have said, well, why are we not, coughing up the cash for this lad? He looks the real deal. But the flip side is he's made 28 Premier League appearances. He's 22 years old, and he was part of a side that shipped a hell of a lot of goals in the Premier League and went on to get relegated. Is he worth more than £10 million?
Well, mate, but then you've seen the Andy Robertson story. Relegated with Hull, and they signed him, and he's arguably one of the first names they put on the team sheet. He's absolutely been phenomenal for them.
But they only paid £8 million for him.
Yeah, but the market's fluctuated massively since then, Jack. It really has. I personally think Jamal Lewis is a £15 million footballer. Let me know in the comments below whether you agree or disagree with that. I think that's because of his latent potential that he's got. Yes, all right, he's been relegated. You've seen some rustiness this season, but that's because he's a young guy and he's developing. He's been thrown at the deep end, quite literally. He's been playing in a team with no confidence, no structure, no organisation, no fight. And so I think it's been really difficult for our fullbacks to really show themselves, because I think they've had to do some attacking themselves, because the midfielders haven't really been doing that for me personally anyway. So, yeah, I have been a little bit frustrated with the Liverpool fans. I think it's really greedy, and it's not like they're short of money. I mean, that's just a nonsense. I'm not buying the whole, obviously COVID will cripple a lot of clubs, and I totally empathise with that. But it doesn't cripple clubs like Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester United. It doesn't. That's complete nonsense. So for me, he's a £50 million player. And a question I'll ask you, Jack, is there's been a lot of talk on social media this week about Stuart Webber again, which is, if you're Stuart Webber, are you cashing in while you can, or are you holding out and you're standing strong? Because for me personally, I'm happy that for once in our lives supporting Norwich City, we've got a sporting director that's putting his foot down saying, no, this is what our player is worth. If you want him, cough up. If not, jog on.
Yeah, it's a really interesting discussion, this, and one, I'm not quite sure where my opinion falls. I think on one side, you've got the argument of, like you just said, it's good that Norwich are holding out on their valuation of £20 million. I think that's a relatively fair price for Jamal. I think I'm more like you. I think he's probably worth about £15 million. I think if we would have seen a deal for £15 million plus Yasser Larouci, that would have been a very fair deal. We'd be getting another young player there. And I think Liverpool were willing to offload him. On the flip side, and this is something that I've discussed multiple times on the video, so apology if people have heard this, but you do have to cash in when their market value is at its highest. And the risk that Norwich are now playing here is if Jamal doesn't get a move, and I know that there's interest from other clubs, so he might go elsewhere. But let's say, for example, Norwich finish 7th next season. We miss out on the playoffs, fairly unimpressive season. And then you're stuck with a player who's just been playing championship football in a side that hasn't been promoted, has been out of the spotlight of the Premier League, and you're suddenly, you either keep him for more and his market value, carries on decreasing, or you could be left with a player that's then only worth £5 million. I mean, football moves very quickly. He's in the limelight today, he might not be next season. You just never know. I think what it does do is it adds expectation to next season. Let's say we end up keeping Jamal Lewis now, and I know that there's a long time to go, but say if we could keep Jamal Lewis, that just adds an extra layer of expectation from Norwich fans, because you've got a £20 million player, according to Norwich City, in the Championship. Yeah, doesn't it? I mean, there's enough expectation on Stuart and Daniel's shoulders as it is. There could be more.
I agree with you. I do agree with that, Jack. I like the way where you've gone with that. But an element of this is actually let's see the size of Stuart Webber's kahunas, because actually, if we can because for me, if we keep our best players, we'll be promoted. Yeah, honestly, I think if we keep Emi Buendia, if we keep Max Aarons, Jamal Lewis, if we've got the bollocks, we would bounce back up again. But I think it feels right for me that we do offload some of our best assets now, because we need a new mindset. We need to regroup. We need a change in culture. I don't think it's those players that are disrupting the culture. We all know who. So actually for me, Stuart Webber's job, and actually what swings and what the balance that Stuart Webber's got to strike, is he's got to get rid of the deadwood as soon as possible, but yet at the same time be prepared for a championship season that is completely unforgiving with regards to game after game after game after game. I don't think the current squad that we've got is up to it, and that's because it's full of deadwood. So I don't know. I don't know how we're going to do it in time, and we need to come out the gates flying. But let's see, Jack. If we keep hold of Jamal Lewis, Max Aarons, I think it'll be a miracle. Not going to lie. All of the top clubs have been sniffing around those two for a long time. Ben Godfrey and Todd Campbell are in that category as well, of course, because of, as I've said before, their latent potential that they've got. But for me, if we keep them, we can bounce straight back up. But I don't think we've got the bollocks to do that.
This is a really interesting comment from Luke. He says, accepting £10 million for Jamal Lewis would lower the value of all the other assets. Now, that's a really interesting point and an angle I hadn't thought of. That's, there is something in that, isn't there? You accept 10 million for Jamal quite early on in the transfer window, and then, clubs might be coming in for £10 million for Emi Buendia. You never know. In terms of offloading players, Chris, you've mentioned it there, and I agree. The club have said that Tom Tribal, Norwich Leitner and Josip Drmic are able to, or they're willing to sell them, basically. And, of course, that means you rely on clubs coming in. I don't think Tom Tribal and Norwich Leitner would struggle finding another club. I think you'd struggle to find a club that would be willing to pay Josip Drmic's wages. So that could be an issue. Who else in that squad would you be looking to try and ship out, this summer or now?
Well, I mean, you've named the main two there. I think for me, it's obviously you've got to do everything you can to get rid of Josip Drmic.
I do want to quickly jump in. I know a lot of people will be mentioning this. Did you see Josip Drmic's birthday cake?
No.
He had a Norwich City birthday cake.
Okay,
that's great. I love that.
Yeah, okay. Do you know what I mean? I think the guy's an absolute piss take, to be honest with you. I can't hold that back. I think he's been a joke. I would, so I've seen a comment in here saying, I'd sell him for a fiver and a packet of quavers. If someone's willing to pay his 40 grand, 50 grand wages, and that, I think that would be a fantastic deal for the football club. I think that's the main culprit, Jack. I think Norwich Leitner, all of the rumours are there that his attitude hasn't been there. You've got to be a really, really good team player. And I think when you go up to the Premier League and you don't get your limelight, there's somewhat a bit of arrogance about that. And it's like, well, why am I not playing as many games in the Premier League? And I think there are a few players that have struggled with that. But yeah, the main two for me are those. I also think it's the right time to offload Emi Buendia. I do. I know I've said, if we keep him, we bounce back. But for me, I just don't think he's enough of a team player for the Championship. I'm sorry, that's gonna frustrate a lot of people. But I think that I've learned so much through the restart of the Premier League that you need players that are going to put their blood, sweat, and tears into this football club. And I'm not sure if he's that player. I think he's too good for Norwich, to be honest with you. I really do.
I saw that the chat you did with the Leeds fan channel, really good chat.
Yeah.
Conor Milligan, is it?
Yeah, full swing. Great Leeds podcast.
That was a really good chat. And I know that Leeds are heavily linked with Emi Buendia. And I've seen a lot of people being like, I hate to see us sell to Leeds. I think it'd be a good fit. Why? I actually think it's karma, because actually we have robbed Leeds of their assets. Howson, Johnson. It's snoddy. Not Vecchio, but I think what goes around comes around, and Leeds absolutely. Leeds are on their way up. I think Buendia would thrive under Bielsa. I really do. I don't think Emi Buendia can thrive under Daniel Farke because of what's happened this season, both off the pitch. Being left out of the team, strops here and there, petulance on the pitch. Look, at one of the most talented players that's ever worn the yellow shirt, and I love him to pieces. But does he fit into this team and this culture that we're trying to build? The answer to that, in my opinion, is no. It would be really funny as well, wouldn't it, that Leeds were the other club. Well, they were interested in Emi Buendia before we signed him.
Yeah.
And I think they said at the time, and don't quote me verbatim on this, but I think they were saying like £2.5 million too much. And now they might be spending like 25 million on him. So it'd be really interesting to see what happens here. A big thank you to Christopher Burt, who has donated on Ko-fi. You haven't left a question, Christopher, so I can't read it out, but I'll drop you an email later on. Thank you very much. This is another interesting one. Chili Sensations. It's always interesting to see a packet of crisps comment, and it shows how far the world of crisps have come. He says, Chris, would you take Alfie Mawson? Yeah, another player that we have spoke about a little bit on the channel. Of course, Fulham, who have now been promoted to the Premier League, centre-back, had a big money move a couple of years ago from Swansea. Hasn't really featured too much at Fulham. Had a few injuries, which hasn't helped, and hasn't really got into the squad under Scott Parker. I guess the question here is, and I think there'll be more rumblings. We've had Ampadu, we've had Mawson. We'll be talking about Ben Gibson in a short while. We're being linked with a lot of centre backs, aren't we?
And I'm pleased we are, because we can't go into the Championship with our current defensive setup. That's for sure. And my God, if we start this Championship campaign with zonal marking again, I don't know how I'm going to cope, Jack, honestly. Because all joking apart, when you're coming up against Championship teams, that's going to be even worse, because we're going to hold most of the possession in the Championship. This might sound arrogant to a lot of Norwich fans watching, but I believe this. We will dominate possession in most games. We'll keep the ball. It will look pretty. But I can guarantee you, when Wickham come to our place and they bring up the big brick shithouse up top, yeah, and you know what their game plan is. And we saw it, isn't it? And by the way, this isn't new, because we saw this in the Championship last time we were promoted. We saw this in the Championship in Daniel Farke's first campaign in the Championship. Yeah, teams will come to Carrow Road, they'll sit back, they'll suck up the pressure. Yeah, that's fine. You fanny around with it at the back, boys. That's absolutely fine. They'll suck it up, and then they'll win a corner kick and zonal marking. Bosh, see you later. 1-0. Away fans go mental. I hope and pray that's not the case. But anyway, back to this point about Alfie Mawson. For me, I used to be of this faith going into the season that we need players with Championship experience. But I think I might be about to change my mind, Jack. And it's because when I think of the best Stuart Webber signings in the last 2 seasons, it was the players that were unknown, that the opposition didn't know how to handle. You know, players that have played abroad, that have been brought in with no experience, that ended up being phenomenal. I mean, the players that we brought in so far, I've been like, I'm not sure they're starters. I think Stuart Webber's about to laugh in my face, because I think some of these boys are going to start, are going to take teams by surprise, and I think we'll see some diamonds in the rough. Or I hope we see some diamonds in the rough, Jack. So, I quite like to read the rumours-ish about players that we're attracted to with Championship experience. I agree that that's important, but I also like the players that we've brought in before that have been unknowns. Emi Buendia, Teemu, they've been magical. So let's stick with what we know. I tell you one player, though, with Championship experience, which I'm chuffed to pieces that we've signed, which is being brought up by Sam Gaffney on YouTube, Jack. Thoughts on Dowell's signing, Chris? I really like Dowell. I think he can be a top player. And actually, shout at me if you think I'm wrong here in the comments. And Jack, feel free to shout me down as well. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Johnny Howson, dare I say. A player that can be all over the pitch, middle of the park, sat-nav, dominating play, left and right. I'm getting excited by it. I really am. And he's a player that I'm buzzing to see in yellow.
Well, we've spoken about Emi Buendia possibly leaving, haven't we? And you think on the surface that is the ready-made replacement. I mean, he's a slightly different player, but he's got the Championship experience. He's recently scored a Championship hat-trick. He's a player that knows the league and hopefully can fit in well. I've just had a WhatsApp from our friend Nick Masheter, and he says, "I love taking you boys to bed," and he's watching the live stream from his bed. And as we like to say, that's where the magic happens in Nick Masheter's bedroom, where all the transfer rumours are made up. And Nick, it's good to join you in the transfer hub, my friend. I'm glad you're watching it, and I hope you're well. Yeah, let's go through the players that we've signed so far then, Chris. Sam McCallum, Bali Mumba, Kieran Dowell, Poeta, Danel Sinani, Melvin City, Jacob Sorensen. There's a lot of players that we've signed so far. I think looking at them, Jacob Sorensen, Poeta, Dowell and McCallum are probably the ones that will be starting. The likes of Ballymunba, Melvin City, Danel Sinani, they're probably ones for the future, aren't they?
Well, we think, but what do we know? So much of this hinders on us and on who we sell. And I said it a couple of weeks ago, Jack. I think that next week we're going to see us offload a couple of players. That's my prediction. I think that we'll see some deals being done. I know a couple of the boys have been away on holiday, and they'll come back, and obviously their agents will have been hard at work since probably for a long time, to be honest with you. But I think the agents will be sorting out deals for a couple of our boys within the next week. And that, for me, is really interesting. How much money are we going to get, and how are we going to reinvest that money? I know that it's not as easy as that, but I know that a lot of the fans will say, well, hang on a minute, if we manage to sell Max Aarons for 35 million, we want to see that reinvested. Now we've got this set up. Now we've got Colney sorted, and when we've developed the back room, so to speak, I think that now we need to see that reinvested. So I'm actually quite excited to see us sell some players, Jack. I am. In terms of the players bought in, I think they all come with a relative degree of unknown. Like we don't have a clue. We don't have a clue. I mean, even if you search some of these players on YouTube, for God's sake, there's not even highlights. It's unbelievable. But as I said, the main person I'm really excited about is Dowell. I think that I think he'll be a key player for Norwich next season. Someone that can really muscle in on goals in midfield. Definitely. I'm really interested to see is how the dynamic could work with Todd Cantwell. Should we keep him? / a club is interested in buying Todd. And I'm also really fascinated to see how Sam McCallum comes through as well, because of course, if Max goes, which seems to me like the player that we will sell, being that he's probably worth the most amount of money. I'm really excited to see how Sam McCallum develops, because I think he'll be put straight into the mix. But then also we've got Sam Byram. Don't forget, and for me, Sam Byram's going to feel like having a new player in this Norwich team next season.
Definitely. There was a really good comment put in by Jack Sayer, and it's a really good point. Amazed how Dowell is 22, 23, yet still has 80 to 90 championship games under his belt. That's absolutely key. Like, you look at players that you're wanting to bring in. Young is good, it means that they can develop. It means that Farker can implement his coaching further. But to have 90 championship games under your belt at the age of 22 is phenomenal. We spoke about Ampadu having 13 international caps at the age of 19. One of the big reasons why Jamal and Max and Ben Godfrey are worth so much is because they have this experience in the championship. Who's to say that Dowell, season, 2 seasons down the line, he might be worth 20 odd million pounds. He's had a few really successful loan spells, probably wasn't quite good enough to get into the team at Everton, and we've picked him up. He's hungry, which is key. He's got something to prove, and I think that's what we lacked in the recruitment last season. We were bringing in Duda, Dermot, Roop. None of these players necessarily had things to prove. Dowell, McCallum, even Sonani and City, Ampadu, if we sign him. These players are young, they're hungry, and they've got something to prove. That's the reason why we got promoted under Daniel Farker the season before last, is because we had that core group of players, that came together. They weren't the most technically gifted, but it worked. They were hungry, and hopefully it's going to be tricky, but hopefully we can create that cohesion once more.
I do genuinely believe, Jack, that a lot of the focus now is personnel, but for me, it's culture. And maybe that does change with bringing in personnel. But we've already brought in enough personnel for the culture to be shifted into a positive, more optimistic one, because we've brought in bodies big time. And for that, you've got to give Stuart Webber a lot of credit, and of course the recruitment team involved in the process, because we've been fast. And that does actually smell to me, call me a bit skeptical here, that does smell to me like things were already being sorted out before the Premier League restart, that it was inevitable that we were going to go down. Potentially that's why Daniel Farker didn't get up and G the lads up for the water break, but that's by the by. A player that I do want to talk about, Jack, is Ballymumba. The great Michael Bowers of SAF TV, great Sunderland fan channel. He was actually quite gutted that Ballymumba didn't get game time, and was saying that actually, as a player, it seems like Sunderland just wanted to sell him to just get some money. But that, for me, that I'm quite excited by that prospect as well. Look, it's difficult to predict at the moment, Jack. And yeah, I don't know. We're going to see. I hope that we see a new Norwich City. I hope that we see a team full of energy, full of passion, full of belief, and most importantly, a team that's going to come out of the gates firing off all cylinders. And I want to see Adam Idah start. I really want to see Adam Idah start. I don't want to see Teemu Pukki start in the Championship. Shout me down for his record there, but Adam Idah, for me, I'm so excited to see him tear up the Championship. And El Hernandez, by the way, fantastic holiday pictures from Anel Hernandez, cracking shirt and beach images. I can't wait to see him tear up.
Definitely, no. We'll let on to Anel later. I want to talk about Teemu Pukki because Wendy Little has been very kind and donated on Ko-fi. Thank you very much, Wendy. She says, "Hi guys, do you think Pukki will stay?" Well, of course, Pukki had been linked with Besiktas a little while ago. His agent rubbished that and said it's nonsense. I think the likelihood is he will be staying at Norwich City, and I, for one, hopes he does stay. I disagree with Chris here. I want to see Teemu Pukki start the Championship. You can't be benching. You're going to...
Oh, Jack, your signal's terrible.
I was rubbishing Chris's opinion and he shut me up with his bottle opener. No, I wanted to say I don't think you can bench a player that's coming off the back of 29 league goals in the Championship. I think Pukki has still a big part to play at Norwich City. It's almost like people have forgotten that before the lockdown, maybe it's before lockdown, he was on 11 Premier League goals. Like, his return was phenomenal. He was talk of the town at the start of the Premier League season. He has still very much got it. And I think we need to be really, really careful saying, okay, Adam Idah is going to start. Adam Idah is a very good player. We know that. But let's not forget about Teemu Pukki. He still has something, I think, to prove. He's got the Euros coming up. He's wanting to be informed for that.
Yeah,
he is
true.
To lead our line, and Wendy, I do think Pukki will stay, and I also think it's incredibly important he stays because you can pretty much guarantee at least 15 Championship goals from Teemu Pukki. It's very tough to replace that amount of goals in the Championship. You're going to have to spend £8 million plus to get that kind of player. We've got that already. Let's not waste that. Let's not let that go. I think Teemu's the man. I really do.
Jack, I agree with the sentiment, I do, but my point, and I'm not slagging off Teemu. Teemu's a quality striker that if he was to start, of course, I'd be buzzing with that because I know his record in the Championship is undeniable. You know, facts don't care about feelings. We say that all the time on TNC, and it's true. They don't. But my point is, I want to see a new Norwich City go into this Championship season. I want to see a new Norwich City that are trying different things, that know that it didn't work in the Premier League. And actually, a lot of clubs would have watched us in the Premier League. They know our weaknesses because they've watched us. So we have to see something different. And I'm not necessarily saying drop Teemu Pukki, but I'm saying that I want to see something different. If you don't give Teemu Pukki enough to chew on, he's not going to get the chances. In that league winning campaign, we were feeding Teemu Pukki all day long, and he was phenomenal. But in the Premier League, when we weren't giving him the chances, confidence dropped after the restart. We didn't see that. And for me, I like the unknown. I like the fact that Adam Idah is going to want it so much. You know, look, I've never said, play the kids and just chuck them in. And I love Teemu Pukki, but I also really want Adam Idah. I really want it for him next season, Jack. I really do.
Yeah, I think it's also testament to Adam that he hasn't been sent out on loan. I mean, you look at Carlton Morris, who is also, highly rated. He's going to be linking up with Russell Martin at MK Dons again. He's a very good player, Carlton Morris, but you never really felt as if he was going to break into the first team. I think the belief around Colney is that Adam Idah is good enough. Whether that means he'll be starting week in, week out in the Championship is yet to be seen. But I think there's a big season ahead for Adam Idah and an important one. Ben Detaria asks on Ko-fi, thanks Ben for donating. He says, is it time for Klose to close? Nicely done. Is it time to close the chapter on Tim Klose? Feel like injuries have finally caught up with him. Ruthless being thrown into the last few games of the season, and he struggled. Ben, thank you for the question, mate, and thank you for the donation. Tim Klose, this is a fascinating one. I said in a video last week on the channel, I think we should sell Tim Klose or release him? I'm not too sure. What's your opinions on him? I think Ben was right there. It was harsh for him to be thrown in at the deep end in the Premier League. In horse racing, you talk about form lines and what, form you can chalk off. I think you can chalk that form off. I think it was hard to look at that and be like, yeah, he's a poor player because of them games. I think that would be harsh on him. But do you think he's cut out for the Championship now?
Mate, he's absolutely, if we can keep Tim Klose fit, he can be on his day. He could be one of the Championship's best defenders on his day in the Championship. But the problem that we are now getting to with Tim Klose is the injuries. That has plagued him. Even when we first bought him, and I'd never ever forget. I almost cried on that day at Crystal Palace. I probably had too many beers, but I literally had a tear in my eye when Tim Klose got injured against Crystal Palace away. And that, for me, was game over. We were relegated there and then because he was absolutely monumental. When we brought him in, it felt massive for us. And again, losing him felt massive. Tim Klose is a leader behind the scenes, and Tim Klose is a player that I think a lot of Norwich fans should give more time and respect to. I don't think it's fair to criticise him too much, given that he was... I mean, talk about bad luck. The way he got injured before the Premier League season even started. I think if we saw Tim Klose as a player that's just, they're in there, he's the bottom of the spine with Tim Krul. And this is something that we've said, Jack, we really lacked a spine. We really lacked a spine in the Premier League. I think Tim Klose can be that player. But after the restart, I have to be honest with you, I was less than impressed. Being caught out of position, not jumping. Maybe that was injuries. Maybe that was because of his injuries that he wasn't. Maybe it's a sign that he's slowing up. But then why are we talking about Tim Klose but not Alex Tete? And now people will kill me for this. Because Alex Tete, for me, a monumental servant, fantastic player for our football club, so loyal, always given 100%, but he's getting on. And why are we still relying on Tim Klose and Alex Tete to get us out of the shit? Why are we relying on those players still? We've had, at least 3 or 4 transfer windows now to try and get a replacement. I'm starting. I'm a massive Tom Tribal fan, so people will slag me off for that. So I won't go down that avenue with Alex Tete. But for me, yes, I think Tim Klose should stay at the football club. I don't think we should sell him because, Jack, it's key that we have experience. This is something that we really massively missed in the Premier League last season. When Tim Klose wasn't on the pitch, I know that there was mistakes, but he didn't play. He barely played, mate. He barely played. So I think Tim Klose deserves more time and a lot more respect as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think, the key thing is with Klose and with Hanley and whoever our centre-back partnership is next season, we need them to stay fit. I mean, that was what really crippled us this season is a constant change in centre-back pairings and throughout the team as well. One of the reasons why Sheffield United was so successful in the Premier League is they basically named the same starting 11 every single week. I can't remember 2 weeks that passed with Norwich where we named the same starting 11, and it just didn't happen. We didn't have that consistency to do so. Okay, let's get on to another rumour then. This comes in from Isaac Hone on YouTube. He says, thoughts on Ben Gibson from Burnley rumours. Can't see it happening, but would rate this signing. Yeah, Ben Gibson, that name's been rumbling about for a few weeks now, and it's really picked up pace today. Alan Nixon tweeted it out earlier on today. Ben Gibson is a 27-year-old defender, came through the ranks at Middlesbrough, made 185 appearances there, and then got a big money move to Burnley. Now, we've seen similarities here. We were linked with Alfie Mawson, got his big money move, got to the club that paid the big money, didn't really play. It's the same case with Ben Gibson. He got his big money move to Burnley, £15 million, and has made just 1 league appearance in that time. It looks as if Burnley want to loan him out. Now, we've spoken about Webber-type signings. This one doesn't seem like a Webber-type signing. He's 27 years old, but I guess he has something to prove, and that's the key point. We need centre-backs. Is Ben Gibson the man, Chris?
No. He's not. It doesn't seem like a Norwich signing. Nick Master, of course, he knows his stuff. Of course, there would have been some interest shown. I think if we bring in Ben Gibson, that says to me that we're definitely going to be selling one of our centre-backs, one or two, because I'm not sure why you would bring a centre-back on loan that's that old with that little game time. I hope I'm wrong. I'm sure he's a top player, but for me, it doesn't seem like the right type of signing for Norwich. I'm pretty sure I could be wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure he started for Middlesbrough in that Championship playoff final as well, where we absolutely took them to the carpet cleaners. So I'm less than impressed with Ben Gibson. And yeah, look, there might be something in it. He might come to Norwich, but if he does come to Norwich and we do get him in, that says to me that surely we're going to have to offload. Because I don't know about you, Jack. I know that the defensive department is something that we need to improve massively, but Zimmerman starts. He's in. He's got his place next season. If Tim Klose is fit, I think that he could muscle his way in, by the way. So actually, I think that...
Grant Hanley?
By the way, Grant Hanley, great shout, who's, by the way, was excellent in spells over the last couple of seasons. So it's going to be... I see, this is the thing, it all depends on who we sell. But in short answer, Jack, I'm not really that particularly impressed with Ben Gibson at all. I don't really feel like that's a Norwich type of signing. And for me, I would much rather us sign... or play a youngster with something to prove. I really would. We've got some top players. I mean, Grant Holt said it. We've got some real big lads coming through the ranks now. And call me an idiot for backing the young guys, but for me, I'd rather see something different than us bringing a 27-year-old that's barely played. We've got old defenders that have barely played that have got injuries, but they can rotate. So for me, Ben Gibson is a non-starter.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see who we sell in that position. And the key thing is keeping your defenders fit. I mean, if you're going off of evidence, Hanley can't stay fit, Zimmerman can't stay fit, Godfrey's likely to leave, Klose certainly can't stay fit. So you probably need backup, whether that's Ampadu, whether that's Gibson, whether that's Mawson, whether that's Ryan Bennett, who knows. Who we bring in. Ollie B, thank you for donating on Ko-fi, my friend. He says, brilliant stuff as always, chaps. Thank you very much. My wish for next season is a fully fit Louis Thompson. Could be so useful if he can string some games together. Yeah, I said this on a video the other day. I love Louis Thompson. He has been, I can't remember a player being as unlucky with injuries as him. He comes back from an injury. You're like, amazing. We know we've got a real talent here. And within a game, there's another serious injury. It's a real shame. And mentally, it must be so tough as well. But if you're looking for that box-to-box, tackling, hard-working midfielder, there's not many better than Louis Thompson. I mean, we've seen glimpses of him. And the glimpses I've seen are bloody brilliant. Yeah,
from what we've seen, I mean, Jack, I'll never forget that game against Ipswich where he was literally playing so injured, which, by the way, sums up how shit Ipswich are. But Louis Thompson that day again. But he, and you know what? Let's zoom out here. Louis Thompson hasn't played much football for Norwich, right? He's been plagued with injuries. But what speaks tremendous volumes is the fact that the club have stuck by him. Yeah, football's a business. Football's cutting. Football's harsh. And for the people, the top brass of this football club, to back Louis Thompson and say, you know what? There's still something here. There's still an ounce of belief. I still think that Louis Thompson, that there's something there. I'll be honest with you. I completely forgot about Louis Thompson until that was brought up there. We've got a player there that, as you say, can make tackles, can run at defenders, can boss the middle of the park. Look, I know he's been injured. I know a lot of Norwich fans watching this now will be like, oh, come on, Chris and Jack. Ridiculous. He's always injured. But it's another thing that Norwich have got. You never know. And I really do genuinely hope all of the luck in the world for Louis Thompson, because on his day, when he's fit, top player. Yeah,
the thing we keep mentioning, though, and we have to be careful, is we keep saying on their day. And I guess it depends how often their day comes. Not a question, but a quote from Ed Plummy, who's also donating on Ko-fi. Thank you very much. Keep up the good work, lads. Love the shirts, Jack. Chris could learn a lot from you. Well, we're going with the retro one today. Chris has gone with the slightly more modern version. I see you've got the arm patches on there as well, Chris. Lovely to see. Very nice.
That home kit's a shocker.
Well, this one.
Yeah, no, not a fan. I mean, that season.
Proton cars, mate.
No. But I tweeted it. If you were wearing the Lotus away with the actual stripe with the grass strips on it, oh, that was plush kit. The streets will never forget Youssef Safri, I believe I tweeted. And by the way, speaking of which, how annoyed are you, Jack, that the kit's not out yet?
I thought you were going to say, man, Youssef Safri return. Then I was like, whoa,
mate, bring him home. Mate, Moroccan all over the world. Youssef Safri, he's still got some life. He's still got some life in him. Yeah, I tell you, mate, he's a baller.
Yeah,
baller.
It's interesting you mentioned the kit. I mean, that's the running joke on Twitter at the moment, isn't it? I see that the Norwich account has muted the words kit, announced. Yeah, it's brilliant. Julian Scott, thank you, Julian, for the donation. He says, hi, guys, do you think a Ryan Bennett return could work? And if so, would you also like Yannick Wildschut to rip up the league in a Norwich shirt next season? Well, we all know my thoughts on Yannick Wildschut. Didn't get enough game time at Norwich, shipped out too soon. Ryan Bennett is a fascinating one, and I don't think this one's going to happen. And I already know what Chris is going to say about Ryan Bennett, but I'm going to ask him anyway because I know it'll make him annoyed. Chris, would you like to see Ryan Bennett return?
Sorry, what do you mean? No, I've not got anything wrong with Ryan Bennett.
Okay.
I've got everything wrong with your loving for Yannick Wildschut. I mean, for God's sake. I mean, yeah, let's bring back Peter Thorne whilst we're at it. What about Antoine Sibieski, Michael Theoklitos? Yeah, let's bring them all home, shall we? Nonsense. Yannick Wildschut can get in the bin, absolutely. Ryan Bennett. Now, I've seen that you got a lot of stick for this on Twitter, Jack.
That's a surprise.
Do I agree with it? In a sense, a little bit. I think it's a little bit harsh, right? There's a reason why Wolves played Ryan Bennett, but there's also a reason why he then didn't get in their team, was loaned down to Leicester. By the way, Leicester, top club, will have all of the best people behind the scenes making decisions. So I think we need to be a bit careful when we're slagging off Ryan Bennett. I remember when Paul Lambert bought Ryan Bennett in, he had big expectations, huge expectations. Paul Lambert really said that Ryan Bennett was the man. Like, he really believed in him. And to be honest with you, apart from plucking on his guitar a little bit in the local pubs and pushing Sanchez into the pit, we didn't really see the real Ryan Bennett. I don't think. I mean, maybe I've got a short memory, but
I think that's a little harsh. I mean, he played a lot of Premier League football for us, and at a relatively young age as well.
Yes, no. And this is my point, Jack. He's still young. And so, therefore, could he fit into this Stuart Webber?
What, Ryan Bennett's still young?
Is he? I thought he was. Is he not?
He's 30 now.
Oh, no, definitely not.
That's why I thought it was going to make you angry, because he rubbished Ben Gibson at the fresh age of 27.
Yeah, 100%. No. Non-starter, non-event.
The only reason I think there is a minute chance that Ryan Bennett might come back is the fact that, he's getting to that retirement age maybe, and his family is still very much in the Norfolk scene. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, welcome him home. Come and retire at Norwich City. Get your bloody deck chair out and sit on Yarmouth Beach. No, Jack. This is the attitude that we've got to stop at Norwich City Football Club. Players that are taking us for a ride, players that are here to get their big-time move in the Premier League, Josip Drmic. I'm fed up of that. We need players that are proud to wear the shirt, that literally will die for this shirt. We need more Roy Keane attitude. We need that at Norwich, mate. We need it. I'm fed up with players taking us for a ride. I mean, stop this whole nonsense about bringing up. You know what drove me insane, Jack? Bring back Chrissy Martin. Yeah, Ariba, bring back Chrissy Martin. Yeah, he's a top player. He's banned from every pub in bloody Deerham. Come on, bring back Chris Martin. Jog on. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
You would absolutely hate to hear that I was quite keen on the idea of bringing Chrissy Martin back, but we often disagree on things. And
great comment, Jack. Great comment I've just seen on YouTube from Jerry, and I'm so pleased that you've said this. 100% completely right. But Dion Dublin, special man, completely individual character, played at the highest level for the best teams. So I agree with the sentiment, Jerry. But at the same time, Dion Dublin's Dion Dublin. There's only one Dion Dublin. That you don't get players with that much heart, with that much belief. I mean, for those that have watched the channel for a long time will know that Dion Dublin's my favourite Norwich player ever. So,
I think the reason.
Jesus Christ! I'm sorry, Jack. I've just seen an awful comment from Box on YouTube. Richard Keogh, please tell me that's a wind-up. And I tell you what, you should be praying to God if you think Richard Keogh is a great leader for Norwich. Goodness gracious me! By the way,
Richard Keogh turned down Ipswich for the opportunity to work under Russell Martin at MK Dons. I think he's a top man, Chris.
Well, who wouldn't want to play for the you'd obviously rather play for the third biggest club in East Anglia than the fourth biggest club in East Anglia, wouldn't you? So for me, it's an absolute no-brainer.
Well, I think Ipswich are low down than that. You've got Luton, Colchester, Peterborough, Norwich, MK Dons, Braintree, all above them. It's worth noting, Chris is obviously his favourite ever Norwich player was Dion Dublin. The reason he had such a successful career and now a fantastic television presenting career is he lived in Great Yarmouth for a long while. He lived with Jason Statham, of course, of Great Yarmouth fame as well. So he had that education and went on to have a brilliant career. Chris, okay, we're 50 minutes in here. I know we've talked a lot of nonsense as always.
Yeah.
What do you see the next week bringing up? I know we're not going to be doing a live TNC podcast next week because you're going on a little break. But what do you predict, to get your thinking hat on, what do you predict the next week bringing? Because I can feel it's going to be busy again.
What do I think next week? I think we'll bring one in next week and we'll offload two. That's my prediction. I think the offloads are going to begin next week. That's my prediction, Jack. What about you? What are you thinking?
I think, I agree. I think, we I don't know if that will happen, but we need to start seeing some players leave because it's all well and good bringing go on.
My God, don't tell me, Harry.
No, I'm gonna bring this up because you obviously haven't watched my video from a few days ago when someone asked, it was last night actually on the live stream. Someone asked what was my realistic signing, what player would I like to see in the Norwich? And it was Pontus Jansson. Go on, Pontus.
You're joking me. Mate, you are having a bubble bath. No. You didn't actually say that on Talk Norwich City. You didn't. Mate, we're going to lose sponsorship for that sort of comment. Why would you want someone that 2 foot's disabled fans? I can't. Mate, Pontus Jansson is poison for every changing room that he joins. Absolute poison. Did you actually say that? You're winding me up, aren't you?
No, I did say it just because I thought you'd be watching and you'd be fuming.
Mate, how many beers did you have when you recorded?
None. I haven't drank all weekend.
Mate,
let's let Chris calm down. It's also worth mentioning the hashtag Bring Back the Song has been doing the rounds in the comments section tonight. Imagine that as a partnership. Pontus Jansson and Seb Basong. Absolutely wonderful. Harry Wells, well done, my friend. He said Chris took the bait with the fishing rod. Chris, you have been done by Harry.
Fine. Oh, God, I hate Pontus so much. I hate him.
Okay, let's round things up then. Was there anything on my agenda that we haven't yet gone through? No, I don't think there is. Okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, Chris, where is your optimism at the moment?
6.
Okay.
Because I've been at 4 for quite a long time. But as soon as we signed Kieran Dowell, it's got me a bit. I'm bubbling up again now. I'm getting quite lively. I'm starting to vibe again now, Jack. I'm feeling the rhythm. I'm feeling the optimism of the new season, and I'm really feeling it. And now, if we sell a player, sell 2 players, sell 3 players, get the big dollar, reinvest some in a really excellent footballer, I think for me, I don't know. I'm so excited. But I looked at a graphic, Jack, of the teams in the. By the way, comment in here from Jack Sayer on YouTube. Bring back Mitchell Dykes, mate. Quality player, absolute quality player. I saw a graphic, Jack, of all of the clubs in the Championship next season. I think we do need to be careful here because there's some really good football clubs in the Championship this season. I know that everyone's saying, "Oh, it's really good that Leeds are out of it. It's really good," and that's great for me. Watford going down, I know Watford's Watford, and it's an absolute shithole on an away day, but they've got some unbelievable players and absolutely dominated us. Home and away this season. So I think, we've got to be careful with our expectation. But this season, I think that we will set our own expectation, because I think that the club will have probably learned not to play with expectation too much after the Premier League campaign.
So your optimism levels are at a 6. If we sign Ethan Ampadu while you're on your little break, what does it go to then? Are we in the 8 kind of territory then?
Yeah, but he's a loan signing, isn't he? I think if we signed him, signed him, that would get me really lively. That would get me on 8 or 9.
Wow.
Mate, that would really get me going, actually, big time. And no, seriously, it really would get me going. I just don't like loans. Glenn Roeder just destroyed my opinion of loan signings. And by the way, not only Glenn Roeder's destroyed my view of loan signings, mate, the loan signings that we've had last season, the worst in the history of this football club.
Well, nearly as bad as the season before when we had Marcus Edwards and players like that. Now, in terms we've gone through a lot of comments about bringing back Elmander, Gary Hooper, Harry Kane. This is the one that I would actually like to see. It's not going to happen. Wendy Little.
Oh, no. What's the wrong comment?
Wendy Little would bring back Harrison Reed.
No.
Harrison Reed is a baller.
No, I like Harrison Reed, but for me, it's Samuel Stevens on YouTube.
Hang on, let me find it.
Bring back Mbakani.
Oh, yes.
Mate, the Mbok would destroy the championship, but he can't speak a word of English, so I don't know how grunting for communication is going to work too much.
It worked before, scored a lot of goals in the championship. I think in terms of offloading one striker who's on a ridiculous wages in Josip Dermich to bring in another might not work. Right, you guys in the comments have mentioned every single former Norwich City player. Leroy Lita making an appearance.
No. Mate, Leroy, what an absolute baller. Mate, Leroy Lita, let's not forget here, we only had Leroy Lita for a month. Mate, he scored a hat-trick against Wolves. He scored 3 in 7 or 4 in 7. Mate, that's an unbelievable record. Mate, on a serious note, Leroy Lita was an absolute baller back in the day. Let us know in the comments what ballers, and when I say baller, I think you know what I mean, like former Norwich ballers, cult heroes. Mate, Leroy Lita.
Well,
I remember some sort of dodgy businessman paying for his wages whilst he was here.
Leroy Lita's 35 years old, and he's currently playing for Nuneaton Borough. I mean, you never know.
Hey, bring him home.
Bring Leroy Lita home. Let's get it trending on Twitter, people. # bring back Leroy. Anyway, thanks so much. No, in all seriousness, please do tweet us at Jack Reeve TNC, just there, at Chris Revo, just there. # bring back Leroy. Let's do it, people. Thank you very much for watching tonight's episode of the TNC Podcast Live. We might do another next week. We don't know. Actually, no, Chris is on holiday. We'll get one in soon. Chris, final parting messages.
I just want to say thank you to every single person that's commented tonight. I really appreciate it. I know Jack does too. But I also want to let you know that we have got some seriously exciting plans for next season. Talk Norwich City is going up a level again. And I'm so excited to reveal what's going on next season. So make sure you subscribe to Talk Norwich City. Follow us on all the socials as always, the #1 Norwich City fan channel. But genuinely, I just want to say we are so grateful for all of your support. You guys have stuck with us through lockdown. You've given us so much praise, and I really appreciate it. It means a lot, and it's really lifted my spirits during lockdown. So thank you so much to every single Norwich City fan that's stuck by me and Jack over lockdown. We really appreciate your support.
Definitely. Oh, now this is interesting. Before we leave, and this could.
Okay, where are you going here, Jack?
Okay, I've just seen a comment. I'm just going to check whether it's true. Yeah, this is true. Let me get it up on screen. Don't get yourself too excited, people. Strap yourself back in. We're not going anywhere. We've got one more thing to talk about today. This is broken from Michael Bailey of The Athletic.
Oh.
Ethan Ampadu, Norwich City would have loved to have loaned him in for next season, DM role plus centre-back cover, but is not going to happen. Chelsea now have a Premier League option just down the road, so I believe a loan to Fulham is likely. Chris, that's not what you want to hear on your Sunday evening, is it?
And when you hear that from a reliable source like Michael Bailey, oh God, I just want to get excited for next season. Mate, look, here's my plea to the people of the football club: get that kit out. Get that new kit out, because at the moment, but isn't it a funny old thing, Jack? Football fans are fickle, but as soon as you see that new kit, you start to lift your spirits. And you know, we don't need Ampadu anyway. He's not good enough for us.
I tell you what wouldn't lift the spirits if they are. I'll tell you what, this is a great point from Harry Wells. He's on fire tonight. No Electric Avenue chant for him then. One of my fun fact about Eddie Grant, Electric Avenue, it's the first ever single I bought. I bought it from Woolworths. My nan gave me £2 and I went to Woolworths to buy Eddie Grant, Electric Avenue on CD. That was probably 2003, maybe.
Do you want to know mine?
Yeah, go on.
Atomic Kitten, Whole Again.
Oh, God.
No, quality tune. Looking back on where we first met, I could not escape and I cannot forget. Southgate, you're the one.
Mate, Jerry saying, was it oh no, that's not utter tune. Yeah, good point. And Jerry says, was it a re-release of Electric Avenue? It was a re-release.
We really need some signings because we've scraped the barrel tonight. Congratulations to everyone that's still watching. Why are you still watching?
Absolutely brilliant. All right, well, we've brought you Eddie Grant, Atomic Kitten, and sadly we've also brought you the news that Ethan Ampadu might not be coming. I might have to change the title of this video from Norwich City interested. Well, no, it's factually correct actually. We were interested in Ethan Ampadu, but it looks like he will be going to Fulham. That's a shame, but as we said earlier, let's get #BringBackLeroy trending. Thank you ever so much for watching tonight's episode of the TNC podcast, and I will leave you with this. Leroy.